wish you very happy. And unfortunately, we can't wish each other very happy World Environment Day because there's nothing happy to be about the environment around.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the environment is degrading in every single factor, and with across India, across the world. So I think this World Environment Day should be a wake-up call to each and every person, and not just environmentalists like you and me or conservationists, but also local people, the entire community at large in India. They should wake up and realize that the importance of what we are losing.
Hello viewers, welcome to another interesting show on the Connect television, the Connect TV rather. Today we have Aishwarya Sridhar, who has been doing a lot on the front of environment, particularly in terms of birds tracking their flights. She has been going to Panje wetland. She has been to other sanctuaries also. So on the occasion of the World Environment Day, we have this special. So let's understand from Aishwarya as to what she has been doing and why she has been doing all this work.
The wetlands of Uran created a sanctuary for countless birds for whom this exotic ecosystem was their home.
For how long you have been visiting Panje, Aishwarya?
So I think the first time that I visited Panje was probably in 2008. Yeah, so the period between 2008 and 9 was the first time I had visited Panje. And it's been more than a decade now that I have been going to that place, and it's very close to my heart. But sadly, I've seen Uran transform as well over that whole period. So from being a birder's paradise to becoming a concrete nightmare, I've seen that transition as well.
Non-stop drilling and filling up of mangroves with mud and rubble has led to their total degradation. The very sentinels of our shorelines are being mercilessly hacked, even though they filter toxins from the water and provide protection in extreme weather.
When I first visited Uran, I was about maybe 8 years old. But at that point, Uran was so green. I mean, I remember there used to be near the Reliance tanking station. The entire wetlands over there used to be full of flamingos. And the place was total paradise. But over the years, there's been rampant landfilling activities going on, reclamation for development, and the place has completely changed.
Which have been the main areas, where you could see lots of birds, flamingos and other kinds of birds also, other than Panje? Which is other places they can recall?
So I remember the Jasai wetlands. Okay, then there's the Belpada wetlands at Uran. Then there used to be this group of wetlands near the Reliance tanking station, where a lot of flamingos, waders, and I remember seeing pied avocets there as well at one point, and not just ones or twos, like a flock of about 100 pied avocets.
In the last decade alone, a whopping 800 hectares have been destroyed at Uran. Once the foraging grounds of flamingos and other wader birds has today been converted to a barren wasteland.
See, you have been associated with BNHS, so am I. But BNHS also has been campaigning for quite some time to preserve and conserve these wetlands. Unfortunately, nobody paid heed to them, and now they are one by one, all the wetlands are disappearing, as you yourself have observed. So, what's your take on the importance of maintaining these wetlands and the birds' destinations?
So wetlands are not just important. They're not just important in the ecological way, but they also have an economic importance attached to them. So there are local fishing communities in Panje and at Uran who depend on these wetlands for their livelihood. So by destroying these wetlands, you are actually stopping the local fishermen's right to life. which is completely against the law itself. And when you look at wetlands, they are one of the world's most productive ecosystems. They are they're carbon sinks. They provide the mangroves act as a flood barrier. They improve the quality of the groundwater. A lot of birds and local fauna and flora depend on them. So it's not just that they wetlands are a place of observing migratory birds, but they are also very, very important in terms of climate change and global warming. They play a huge role to mitigate climate change. And right now, we are at this juncture in time where we need each and every resource that we can save so
Yeah.
that we can have a sustainable future.
Hello friends, I am Nandakumar Pawar from Sri Equiraya Pratishthan. Today I just want to discuss with you the Panjay wetland issue of Uran Taluka. You must have heard about the Panjay wetland, which is supposed to be the highly biodiverse wetlands, last remaining surviving wetland of Uran Taluka under tremendous threat from the Reliance access. This wetland area spread across 289 hectares. There are 4 villages on the periphery of this wetland area, namely Panjay, Funde, Dongri and Buri Pakhadi. This area SIDCO maintains as a holding pond supposed to control flood in the Donagiri node. Mischievously, SIDCO has sold this area to Reliance SEZ, which is completely wrong, and we condemn that decision of the SIDCO.
I swear there are also a couple of other points, like, there are the restriction of this kind of a nature has been causing floods in various parts of the country, be it
Yes,
Kerala, in Mumbai, closer home. Last year we have seen in Badlapur. Even in Uran also we have seen unseasonal as well as
yes,
seasonal floods. For the first time in 20 years, you have been having floods there.
yeah.
So unfortunately, the authorities do not seem to realize this.
Yeah, they don't. In fact, you brought up the topic of flooding because in 2018, when, if you remember, the Panjay gates were shut because of SIDCO,
Yeah.
then there was this report that SIDCO published saying that the wetlands cause flooding. And
Mhm.
that is one of the reasons why they shut the gates so that
Yeah.
water does not come. So
Yeah.
I went to the local villages of Funde, Dongri, Panjay, and I went and spoke to the local fishermen over there. And their answers were really surprising. They all of them seemed to understand that the wetland was not the cause of the flood.
Okay.
The cause of flood was the fact that the mangroves surrounding Panjay and Funde and all had been reclaimed by NMSEZ.
Okay.
The cause of flood was the fact that the mangroves surrounding Panjay and Funde and all had been reclaimed by NMSEZ. So
Okay.
the mangroves never acted as a flood barrier because they weren't there.
Yeah.
So the absence of that is what caused unnatural flooding. And this
So
the local fisherman understands, but people sitting in corporate chairs don't.
that's a very unfortunate aspect about the environment, because the various project proponents, the planners, the people who give clearances, they don't seem to understand the ground realities. Despite people like you and me, raising voices, and nobody hears the voice of this poor fishermen. There are a couple of things about the fishermen. So number one, they lost, as you said, their source
Yes,
of income, their right to practice their trade,
yes,
which is constitutionally guaranteed right, and causing a widespread ecological and environmental damage. Now, Aishwarya, there is another aspect to the entire thing that is coming up. I'm sure you must have heard about this. The threat of bird hits to the
yes.
upcoming airport. You must have heard about that. So BNHS also has been screaming about it for quite some time. Your thoughts on that?
I feel it's a very, very huge threat as of now because with the Panjay wetlands disappearing, if it disappears,
Yeah.
okay, if SIDCO decides to go ahead with the project and the entire wetland gets reclaimed, then you have a huge threat of Birdhits happening at the Navi Mumbai Airport. And this BNHS had also cited in their environment assessment impact study, which
Yes.
they had
Yes.
done, And in fact, in that study, they had urged as the mitigation methods to protect Talave, Panje, the NRITS Chanakya wetlands, and a
Yes.
couple of other more in Uran and Navi Mumbai. And they
Yeah.
had said that with the presence of these wetlands, the chances of bird hits happening at the Navi Mumbai airport were very, very less. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, Sidco and planning authorities don't seem to realize that. They
Yeah.
feel that even if the wetlands don't exist, birds can just be shown directional signs in the sky, and their path of migration would change.
The signs in the sky to divert bird traffic sounds so funny, Aishwarya. We are unable to control the motor traffic with signals and the traffic cops on ground, and you're thinking of controlling bird traffic, which is, I think,
Maybe Sidco has some means. I don't know.
a very stupid way of thinking, looking at things.
In large numbers, 10,000, 20,000. And that's the time when that area has to be very natural.
Being one of the largest wetlands in India, Panje is also an important stopover for over 2 million migratory birds, like the black and bar-tailed godwit, which migrate from Arctic in order to spend the winters here in India. This bird flies over 11,000 kilometers non-stop, the longest continuous journey that has ever been recorded for a land bird. Migration is the pilgrimage that birds undertake between their winter and summer homes.
The point that you raised, the citizens need to wake up, and then they should protect, they should raise voice, they should protect the environment, they should protect the ecology in their own interest.
And because ultimately, when you save environment, you're saving yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about saving the tiger and saving the Asiatic lion, or saving tiger sharks and whale sharks and all these big megafauna. But
Yeah.
ultimately, these are ambassadors of the habitat that they represent.
In the year 2015, there was an announcement declaring this wetland as a flamingo sanctuary, but it did not see the light of the day.
It's extremely unfortunate that the proposal to declare Panje as a sanctuary has also not materialized.
I think that's a very interesting point, Aishwarya, that you brought about. The birds are the international ambassadors of ecology,
Yes.
of well-being of environment. So on that note, thank you very much, Aishwarya, for giving us time. And
Thank you so much.
let's keep our fight on. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, and happy World Environment Day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
See you.
you. Bye.